Hello, good morning. This is Siva Devaki from MassMailer. Thank you so much for joining the webinar today. Today I'm going to talk about how to import the data, whatever data that you may have in form of, say, CSV file into Salesforce, and how can you email through MassMailer. Emailing through MassMailer, I'm sure most of you are aware, but importing the data into Salesforce is the key thing. I know this question has been asked by many customers. There are many tools available. I've just highlighted 3 of them here. Now that I'm going to go over everything, but let's just take a look at how you can do this with Salesforce Data Import Wizard. This is a native tool that Salesforce provides, and they do have a data loader that's more like a plugin that you can install, like a piece of software that you can install on your desktop or a computer, and then you can use the data loader too. That's another option, but I think for most of the use case scenarios, I'm assuming that the Salesforce Data Import Wizard should just do it because this is only for the emailing purpose. You're not really doing a data migration. For data migration purposes, I think then you need a little bit more complex tool. But if your goal is to just import, a piece of information with the email and the name information, that you can leverage to email, I think Salesforce Data Import Wizard should be good enough. Given 2 more options, dataloader.io and Jitterbit Data Loader. These 2 also are good. Again, I know they may be a little complex for use case scenario like this, but there are options available, and you can always find more tools in Salesforce App Exchange, but I felt that at least I should give you at least 2 more options other than the Data Import Wizard. Okay. I believe the dataloader.io is also free for a certain number of records, and I'm pretty sure that Jitterbit Data Loader also should be free as well for most of the use case scenarios. Again, if you really need high volume and complex data migration, then you may need to pay. But otherwise, just for simple emailing purposes, for low volume, these tools should work fine. Okay, and the data import wizard, there's no cost to it because it's native to Salesforce. So let's take a look at it. And I've actually created a sample data file here. This is just a Google sheet. What I have here is just the first name, last name, company, and email. Because this is, most of the times, this is what you want to import. But if you needed to import like, more data for any merge field purposes, that's up to you. You can always map those fields into some custom fields or the standard fields, however it's going to work for you. But I thought maybe at least I'll have the bare minimum that you can just go ahead and import. Again, the reason why I have these columns is because ultimately when you're gonna import this data, you need to map these columns to the specific fields on that object in Salesforce. And I've given the exact name as the column so that you really don't have to manually map them. It's going to be automatic. But let's say you don't have the exact same. So for example, the company, maybe it's called company name in your file, that's okay. Maybe this is called, business email. That's also fine, but you will have to manually map these columns to the respective columns. So I'll just show you, I think maybe I'll keep the way it is right now, first name, last name, company name, business email. So you know how the auto match happens and how the column name, if it's different from the field name, then you will end up mapping it manually. So that, you can kind of practice this. So let's say you have the sheet and make sure that it's in the form of a CSV file. So what I'll do, I've actually downloaded one. I'm going to go delete that. So I would just go download this. So CSV. Again, if you already have CSV file, you don't have to do anything. If people mostly have it in Microsoft Excel or Google Sheet, whatever it is, make sure that you convert that into CSV file. Okay, so I got the CSV file that's downloaded. Now I'll take you to Salesforce. So when you log into Salesforce, you'll always see an option, the setup. Again, this whatever I'm demonstrating to you right now should be done by a Salesforce admin. If you're not the admin, please have your Salesforce admin do this for you. Most of the companies, the end users are not given access to the data loader. So it's always recommended that you work with your admin to import the data. But if they give you a free hand so that you can actually import it, that's up to you. But I just want to kind of mention that. Okay? So you go to setup, Salesforce setup, and from there, you can search for uh, you can just say wizard and it's gonna pull it up like data import wizard. So it's under integrations, data import wizard. So you click on that. And then from here, you can just launch the wizard. So click on this. It's an easy step. So here it actually gives you options on what you want to really import. Right now, I'm actually demonstrating leads, but if you ever wanted to import accounts, contacts, or campaign members, you can do that. I'm also going to demonstrate how to import campaign members after this, so that way I can cover both those scenarios. So I'm going to go select leads. And then here, what I'm saying is I'm gonna add new records, but you are okay if you want to update existing records, you can do that. That's an option. But the match lead by, so there are three options here. You can match the lead by email address. Or if you think these are all gonna be new, you can just say add new record. Again, if you ever wanted to match the existing records, you can just say by email. You can see the difference. So when you're adding new record, it doesn't show the ID because ultimately Salesforce assumes that these records do not exist in Salesforce and you cannot match with the Salesforce ID. So you can only match with the name and email address, right? So that's for the new records. For update existing records, again, I'll just demonstrate. You'll have an option, Salesforce ID, name and email. So this, I'm assuming that you're not really updating anything, so you will not be using this. So let's just go with this new option, new records option, and then select match lead by as email. And these things, if you ever wanted to assign like a lead source, you can do that. Whatever the lead source that you may have, you can do that. And then if you needed to assign, like if you wanted to trigger any assignment rule, you can also do it as well. And then you have a few other options. So I'm not selecting the other ones. I just want to select only the match lead by email option. The rest I will leave it to you. Again, your admin will decide what exactly you want to select for the other options. And I have this CSV file. I'm going to go drag and drop into that area. That's it. That's all what you need to do. And then you go to the next step. So here, as you can see, the first name, the CSV, this is a CSV header, right? We have first name, last name, company email, company name, and the business email. And the Salesforce object, since first name is the same as the Salesforce object name, it is already mapped. But company name and the business email is not mapped, so it says unmapped. The reason is it's not matching the exact column name in Salesforce. If I did not make it as company name and if I made it as company, it would have mapped it automatically. Same thing, instead of business email, if I kept it as email, it would have mapped it automatically. But that's okay. This kind of makes it easy for you to kind of understand if you have a different column name. So let's just go map this. What I would do, I would just select a company here. And then say map. And in this one, the business email, I would just type in the email, and that's the field we're going to map, and then just map it, right? So that's how you map all the fields. And then now you just start to go to the next step and then start import and say, okay. So this is the job status, and you can refresh, and it would give you the details if it is complete or not complete. You can also look at all the data import jobs. If you actually have a lot more records, it may take time. So you can always go to the list, bulk data jobs, and then it is going to give you the actual the status for each one of those jobs that you're running. So the 2 records processed in this, and it's all done. So if I take you to the leads, so this is the lead summary page, and I'm just going to go refresh, and it should actually show me the 2 records that we just imported. So this is the one, these 2. So we got those 2 leads imported, and those are in the status new, right? And this is how you can actually like import data. And if you wanted to like create a list view for this, so this is showing everything. But again, if you ever needed to kind of create a list view for those records that you just created, make sure that you have some field that is gonna bring them up. So let's just say I would say today's leads, right? Only I can see this list view and save it. And if you imported it, most likely it is your leads, but you add the filter. You can say create a date equals say today. That should basically bring up those 2 leads that got created today, right? So only 2 leads are there. So again, if you're not familiar with creating list views, I recommend you take a course in Salesforce, the course material, and then you should be able to, figure this out quite easily. So all you need to do is create new from here, and then just apply those filters, whatever filters that you want to apply, and that should just bring up those records. So once you have these records, you can easily email them from here, send me a MassMailer. I'll not go through the complete demo here. I'm sure most of you are aware, but all you're doing is just select the records that you just imported, and then send an email via MassMailer. Just going through the steps that are given here. Keep going next, and target audience is pre-populated for you because you're coming from Salesforce list view, and then you could just go select the email template and the rest of the steps, as per your requirement, and then send the email. So that's how you basically send out emails to the imported records. So that's about leads. And let's quickly take a look at campaigns as well, because this may be another use case scenario where people may want to import to webinar campaign. So I actually created a webinar campaign, but I'm actually gonna go delete and create a brand new just to show you how easy it is. So let's just say we create a campaign here and save this. And this campaign, the campaign member status is already auto created for you because I've enabled this feature. Again, if you're not aware, I can quickly go to MassMailer app and show it to you, where you can actually default those status values. So if you go here to MassMailer setup, again, your admin will have access to this. Whoever has got Salesforce, MassMailer license, and if that user is an admin user, then they can help you with this. So if you go to MassMailer setup and tracking settings, under this there is a section for MassMailer campaign setting. So auto create MassMailer campaign status should be active. That way, all these values that you see, the click and bounce and all of them are auto created for you. So it's very important to make sure that you have that enabled. Currently, we don't auto-enable that, um, just because not every customer would want to do that. So that's up to you how you want to kind of deal with that. If you have not auto-enabled that for any reason, you can always let's just create a campaign, and there's an option here for you to set this campaign as a MassMailer campaign. So you have another option just by clicking on this button. This is more like on-demand basis. You're setting these campaign member status values. So once you have the campaign ready, all you're doing is just add campaign members, import leads and contacts. So you just click on that, and you would have an option to import leads or contacts. But again, you're going to choose the option here, leads. Right now, I have the data meant for leads, so I'm going to go select leads. And then you can add records, or you can update existing records. So I believe we have those same set of records in Salesforce. So what I'll do, I would actually go delete them so that you can visually see that those records getting created. So let me just go delete.
Hey, Siva.
Yeah, Mark.
Question. So campaigns you only have if you have Salesforce marketing, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Um, Another question, maybe you'll be getting to this later, but so we have a list of users, and let's say it's 5,000 contacts
Yeah.
from an external system. We import the data in. How can we tie that list of contacts to the imported contacts? Because we're not really using a standard list view, and maybe we can get to this later on after you're done.
So you're saying that you already have existing contacts and you're importing brand new. How do you tie them
No,
together to send an email? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, we may or may not have the context in, so we're importing the data,
Yeah.
which is fine through the data loader.
Mhm.
Now I've got these contacts in there, and let's say my list is 5,000 contacts.
Mhm.
I don't want to build a list view based off of all those email addresses, and if that's all I really have. So some of our teams that are using MassMailer will be deriving their lists on external systems, bringing the contacts in, and they're going to want to send emails out to all those contacts.
Yeah.
So I just wonder if you had any insight on how we can.
See, that's where your filters would actually, take over. Let me show you what I mean. So it doesn't need to be Salesforce list view. You can also create MassMailer list view, but this is simple enough for you to understand. So if you're importing today, a specific user actually imported it. They should be able to just go select this option and then create a list view, right? My imported contacts, for example. And then only I can see this view or all users. It's all up to you. And then here you'll have to apply those filters. Is it my own contacts, meaning you imported them, or someone else? You can always select the owner, right? And then you can apply the filter here. So this is what I was referring to. So if you do not have a field that can actually bring in the specific data that you imported, right? Like could be source, lead source, or something that actually denotes that, okay, this data is imported today by me, and these are the specific contacts or leads that I want to bring in. So you got to have something that actually filters those records. And it's all up to you how you want to do it. So for simple reasons, I said you can just select the created date. So even this also, the contact also should have that field called created date equals today. That'll bring in the contacts today, but I know it is gonna go change tomorrow, right? Um, so if you want to hard code this date, that's fine. You can just like say, to whatever the date is today. You can just say that. For an example, I'm just giving an example, right? Like this. So you can always match it with the hard coded value. That's fine too. But if you actually are going to send email today, this will work out well because it's a relative date, right? And then again, make sure that the filter by owner is my contacts, which means your own contacts that you imported. So this is the basic filter mechanism. And again, if you have more, that will denote that those records got imported today. Or you can create a custom field. I mean, if you think, hey, I don't have any field that I can really figure out, just go ahead and create a custom field. You can name it such as, MassMailer import or something, right? And put some value there, label, a MassMailer label or something, right? And then put some value for that field, and then use that value as a filter. So that's an option.
What field could we put that in?
It could be a custom field that you can create, right? So let me show you leads. I think it may make sense. If I just say source, yeah, for leads, and then here I can just say the source could be import on certain date, right? 1/1/21. I'm just giving an example, right? This could be your source. Now, when you're importing this, you got to map this with the source field, and then that's how you're gonna filter it. So if I go back to, so we can actually do it now while we are doing it for campaign members. Let me actually show you once again. So let's just go back here. I'll open it. I'm gonna go delete these two, right? This one and the second lead as well. So today's date is June 17, right? So let's just change the date. So 6/17. All right. So that's my source, lead source. I think it is lead source. Let's keep it as a source. And I would just go delete the previous file. And then we would go back here and then download the CSV. Okay, I got the new CSV file there. And now if I go back to the data import wizard, so we can do it from campaign. So let's just go to the campaign. So we were coming from campaign, as you noticed. If you want, I can just start off. Let me just go quit this. Okay, so from campaign, if you want to do it, again, from here, it would just say import leads and contacts. And then you're gonna go select leads from here. Again, you can also do it for contacts as well, but I'm just doing leads. And I would just say do add new records, match lead by email. And then we would do the CSV file. We would choose the file from there. We got the CSV. And then go to the next step. So here, as you can see, the source is not mapped, and these two are also not mapped. So we can just go and map them. And then this one, map it with the email field. And this one, we're gonna find out what is the field that is available. It's called lead source. So map it. So again, you can always map it with a custom field that you want to create. But I just select a lead source because lead
field Salesforce.
Yeah, that's a standard field in Salesforce. Yeah. So next, and then start import. And
okay.
So now if we go and look at that data, so let's just go refresh this. And we should have the lead record that got created. So I will just open that lead and we'll find that source field. Go to the details. as you can see, the lead source is import on 617. So this is basically a field that denotes that you've imported it today. And now if you wanted to identify the fields, the records that you actually imported in your list view, you're gonna go create a list view here, just say my imported leads today, or the hardcode the date value, right? That's not a problem, it's all up to you. And then here you're gonna filter my leads, add filter. That filter value is nothing but the lead source. You can, I think you should do contains because okay, so Salesforce does not give starts with, let's see. So it's a drop down. Okay, so you won't be able to do it from here. I'll show you how to filter using the MassMailer list view. So let's just go to MassMailer. Lightning. And then we're gonna go create a list view there. Yeah, if you create a report, you should be able to do that. So I'll show you how to do this with MassMailer list views. Okay. And then you can just do lead and then select field, lead source. Okay. I think I'm wrong. That's a drop down. Let's see the report. So here you have the fields. So create a date is okay. Let's just check the lead source. You can have contains lead source, and then you can have the value. So the value is this. So just go select that and then apply that. And then I'm going to go delete. Okay, so just say run. So I got those two because I applied a report, right? I know it's a roundabout way, but this is just an example. If you ever wanted to use the standard Salesforce field called lead source, you still have an option to create a report for the leads, but you will end up adding these leads to a campaign and then send an email. That's an option, but you don't have to use the lead source if you do not want to, because this may clutter your other functionality in Salesforce. If you end up using a lot of lead sources, you can always just go create a custom field on lead object, and then that could be a simple text. Use that field as way to identify what leads that you imported. That may be ideal. That way you're not really kind of, like your functionality or the data input process does not have any conflict with any existing functionality. Does that kind of answer your question on how to identify the records that you imported on any specific?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for us, I'm probably gonna have to come up with another scheme because so you can't just do my contacts. We have a large enterprise, thousands of users.
Yeah.
Contacts may be owned by a salesperson, but service wants to send out a notification that the system's down. So we're probably gonna have to come up with some scheme. Now, for the contact flags we have that are already set, everything's fine. We can import and set the flags and things like that. I'm just gonna have to come up with some scheme to identify, because there may be two groups that want to email to the same
Mhm.
contact
Mhm.
with different mailings.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so that's why I was referring to custom fields. So what you should do, identify if you already have an existing field that you can leverage, wonderful. If not, all you need to do is just go to Object Manager, Contact, and then on the Contact object, just go create a custom field. You can call it as, um,
oh
let's
yeah,
just
we've got tons of those already, but
yeah, right. Yeah, just in case if you needed to create one, just make it as text field and call this as import label or something, right? Um, and this could be whatever 255 maximum, and then that's it. And use this as a field that you're gonna reference when you're actually importing. Make sure that you have this field populated with some unique value. So that way you're not really doing my contacts. It could be all contacts. Whoever is the owner, it doesn't matter. But you have the import label that is unique for that import process. Okay.
oh, okay.
All right. Okay, now let's just go back to that campaign that we were creating. So if you remember, I actually created a campaign and then imported campaign members. So let's just go to the webinar demo. And then here, we got 2 campaign members added. All I did was I just imported leads and contacts from here. And then 2 got created. These are nothing but leads though. So basically, whenever you're trying to import data into campaign as campaign members, in a way, those records get created as leads or contacts based on what you selected at the time of importing. So if you go click on this lead, it actually takes you to that specific lead object that we just imported. Okay. And that's how you basically import data to campaign. And again, emailing from campaign is pretty straightforward. I'm sure most of you are aware. So there's a button on send via MassMailer button on the campaign details page. So you just start to click on that, send via MassMailer, and then that'll take you to the outreach wizard. So again, it's the same process. You just follow the steps to send email by selecting the template that you're gonna send. And the target audience is pre-selected for you. Again, these are all uploaded into Salesforce, into campaign, import into campaign with the status new. That's the reason why it is defaulted. And then there are 2 records, and then keep going and select email template and all of that good stuff. Any more questions?
Siva, you were saying earlier that campaigns is something that some groups might have, some might not. I don't see that we have got it. Is it what it sounds like? It's like the ability to create campaigns, like email here 30 days later, email again. Is that what campaigns is?
You can use it for any purpose. Mostly marketing users will have campaign the feature enabled. So if you don't have that feature enabled, there must have been a reason. So you don't have to use campaign, but this, so to answer your question, can we use it for a drip campaign or is it just a one-off campaign? So what I'm demonstrating right now is just a one-off campaign. So you basically have one campaign created and then you added campaign members and you send an email. But if you need a drip campaign, that is a different story altogether. You'll have to use process builder or flow. That's an admin job, not the end user job, at least in MassMailer. So your admin will have to come
Right.
in. Yeah.
Well, I access MassMailer by rather than going through a campaign tab on my Salesforce dashboard. I would instead go to a different, that thing, and go to MassMailer through that. I was just wondering if there's like a difference, accessing via campaigns or accessing via MassMailer. Like, does campaigns give you some extra capability or something?
There are advantages using campaign. you can leverage the existing Salesforce reports. And you also have an option to send email to both leads and contacts at the same time. So these are like, I think kind of major advantages of using campaign. And you can always tie it with an opportunity as well. So you know exactly how this campaign really performed if you really got new
Oh,
sales.
okay. I see what you're saying. All right.
Yeah. Okay. And again, if you do not have access to campaign, that's okay. You can still use the outreach wizard and send emails. But if you ever think your organization would need campaign feature, you can just request your admin to enable campaign. So that's yeah, that's quite easy to do.
Okay. Okay, so I do have a follow-up question if you've got the time. So one thing that I have been struggling on, we're trying to get an answer to this, and I'm not sure if this is necessarily a full-on MassMailer question, but it is an importing question. So we'll see if you know the answer. So I'm in physician recruitment, and so we have a two-desk model, as we call it. We've got the guys that sell our services, our marketing team, and then we've got our recruiters that go find the doctors that we promised to go get. And so in our Salesforce, we have individuals that are entered with contact information labeled as facility contacts, people we're trying to sell our services to. And then we have candidates, people we're trying to recruit. And there's a whole lot of, if a doctor works at a hospital, he can very easily fall into both categories. One of the biggest problem right now I'm having with our data is whenever I try and import a list of 1,000 doctors, let's say, I'm wanting to import them as facility contacts. And when I click import new contact and update, like I'm wanting it to make sure I'm not creating duplicates, it is checking whether or not that record is already in there as both a facility contact and a candidate, which I don't want it to. I only want it to check as a facility contact. There's no option to do that. So if I'm entering a list of 1,000, it might filter out 300 of those names, and I don't want it to. If they're in there as a facility contact, I do want it to, filter those out. But I'm kind of stuck. If I take off, update current records, it will create duplicates that are legitimately in there as facility contacts. And yet if I'm leaving it on, it's checking against both of those objects. Is that an importing thing that you have any ideas on, or is that something I need to ask Salesforce?
Okay, I hear you. So you have two different record types. One is a facility contact, other one is a candidate, right?
Correct.
But underlying object is a contact. And since the email address is the same for that same person, the record type is different. You do not want to create duplicates in the same record type, but it is okay to have duplicates for different record types. So how do you make sure that you're not importing duplicates, even though it is not the same record type? Okay, that's so I think you have to go with the advanced, the data loader. So remember, I given two other options: the Jitterbit data loader and dataloader.io, in which you will have more options to select not to import duplicates. So Salesforce by default, I think it just gives you match by email, match by name, and match by Salesforce ID, but that's not sufficient in your scenario. You also need to match by the record type. If it's not the same record type, then you would want to import it. But if it's the same record type, you do not want to duplicate. So I recommend talking to your admin and explore these tools, dataloader.io and Jitterbit data loader. There are more options, but these are quite popular as far as I know. And you have the same feature in Salesforce data loader. I've not really given that as an option because it's a little, funky, but I'll just add that here. Then I'm going to publish this. The Salesforce data loader is another option that is free though. If the volume is not huge, then data loader.io and Jitterbit data loader may work fine for you. Again, just have your admin explore these options, which will give you
Okay.
additional matching criteria, and that should solve your problem. Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right. Any more questions, anyone? All right. So this is a weekly webinar. Again, feel free to join the next webinar coming Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific. The new topic would be published via email and also on our website and the social channels. And if you have any more questions, feel free to drop me an email or drop us an email at the company email address or contact us anytime. Once again, thank you so much for joining the webinar. I hope it was helpful. Have a great day. Have a great rest of the week.
Okay, thanks, Siva.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you.